Hey there, this is Jason Gracey. I am broker owner and chief bottle washer here at Great Houston Properties. I've been in business for 21 years here in Houston, and I've seen a lot of contact management systems, a lot of CRMs, and I've used them all. And I've found that Follow Up Boss is the best that I've ever used, and I didn't think it could get any better. And then I met Elena, and I learned that it could get better.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for taking the time today, Jason. I appreciate it.
No
So,
problem.
for first question for you, how did you originally hear about Key Technology?
That's a good question. I believe maybe I had received an email uh, from you, or maybe it was on the Facebook page. May have been where I first uh, noticed you, and people were just it was all good, and I figured I need to find out more about this.
Okay, yeah, probably the Facebook group. So, I think you mentioned you were using Follow Boss for a little bit before us. How long had you been using Follow Boss before you hired Key Technology?
Probably a few months. I'd have to go back and look, but I believe I've been using Follow Boss now for close to 2 years, something like that. And I think
Okay.
it was maybe 6 or so months in. And again, it's just it's a great CRM, and I was loved using it. But then the task just kept piling up and up and up, and started to the hill was getting really pretty tall to climb. I needed some help.
Yeah. And so, can you expand a little bit more on the tasks that were piling up? Were they just like follow-up tasks for you to call people? And it was like, can you expand more about what that
Sure,
means?
sure. Yeah, mainly, I mean, the way that Follow Boss is set up is really great out of the box. So nothing on Follow Up Boss, but the to keep up with your daily task, you would add task, and the task would be added as a part of drip campaign. And if you missed a day, took a break, something like that, they just kept piling up and piling up and piling up, and it seemed you could never quite catch up. And so
Hmm.
it was a little deflating. I mean, you get in there and you do it, but it just seemed like it's kind of on the hamster on the wheel kind of a feel.
Yeah, I feel like you can never catch up. You just have so much you're trying to get through, and then there's still more tasks out, overdue tasks and today's tasks. And like you said, if you miss a day, it
Yeah.
piled on. Yeah. So then what ultimately led you to decide to hire us?
Well, the just I knew I needed to solve that problem, because when task would get so old, I would think, well, you know what? They're gonna a new task is gonna come up for that person, and I'll jump on it when it comes around again, right? And I thought that's just not a recipe for success. So, saw mention of you on the Facebook page, looked into it, and I believe it was probably a Zoom call, a group Zoom call or a webinar that you held, and I thought this makes sense. I could train myself to do this, and I've loved it ever since.
Very cool. So can you expand? I know you mentioned we help sort of solve the problem of tasks, but can you expand on what services we provided for you and your Follow Boss account?
Absolutely. So you really just went in and added, all the different drip campaigns, etc. It just seemed it has a more of like a familiar voice, right? It sounds a little less scripted, and it just feels a little more comfortable in style. And so that fit the way that I like to work really well. So I liked that, and the fact that the task just didn't keep piling up. That the way you have organized everything to kind of cascade over time into the different smart list, it just feels so much more manageable. And I feel confident that if I can keep up with the way that you have it set up on a daily basis, that nothing's going to fall between the cracks.
Hmm.
And the support has really been great. I've been very pleased and with the amount of support that y'all provide. It's quick turnaround if we have an issue, because when it's an issue that's happening to you, it's an emergency, right? And so y'all seem to treat everything with urgency if there is a need. That's been great. And then as you come up with new drip campaign ideas, you're just offering those out there to people that had signed up. So I think that's really value added ever since it continues to grow.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. So, since using our action plans and drip campaigns, what results have you seen so far? Are people responding to the action plans, or what have you seen?
Yes. I mean, number one, I can put them on an action plan and feel, just the selection that you've provided is good. So you'll take clues from what people are saying this to get an idea of maybe how they might like to be followed up with. So being able to set the temperatures, or A, B, and C, hot, warm, and cold, however you want to look at it, and then know that the cadence of the drip campaigns that you've put together is going to more closely match what that person told you. So I think that's important when they tell you how they'd like to be communicated with, that we listen and respond to that. So that working in that fashion has really been helpful. It just sets my mind at ease knowing that I'm not peppering them with things, that the information's getting to them. The responsiveness that you built into the integration with Follow Up Boss is great as far as inquiring about uh, listing alerts and things like that. So the communications feel a lot more natural than in any other CRM that I've worked with.
Yeah, that's very good to hear. Yeah, thanks for sharing. So you mentioned it briefly that you had a really good experience with our support. So there's a common misconception that because we're just a one-time paid for service, we're not like a subscription-based model, that we're just going to leave you to figure it out on your own. We're not going to support you. So I think you've had our services for a little while, but can you expand a little bit more on how available we are after the setup? Did we just leave you hanging after we finished, or what's that been like?
Yeah, and I'm sorry for not even mentioning that yet. That really surprised me because a lot of times you buy a product, here's your product, boom, we delivered on what we said. See you later, good luck. When you buy a new car, you're going to need to put gas in it, and the tires are going to get low, and things are going to get loose, and it's just going to fall apart, and then you're going to curse that car maker because they made a terrible car. But and you just things will get a little loose. There are ways that I've seen you improve on the drip campaigns. But yeah, like you mentioned, I was just so impressed with the service after the sale. And I even had to go back and look, and I thought, oh no, did I sign a subscription or something? But but to me, that just speaks to the value of your product and the the way that you operate. So I've seen you on multiple webinars with other guest as well. And your weekly, or is it, I believe, the monthly calls that you have been very helpful, because sometimes a person will ask just a real minute thing, but it could be like, what is the princess with the P underneath all of the mattresses? Is that one little thing that can just not feel right about something, and knowing that others are having some issues the same as you, and you work through it live right there. So I've taken great value out of those calls. I think you had an update on some new campaigns just the other day that you pushed out. So it's very much value added the way that you're running your business.
Very good. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, we're always trying our best to lead with value, definitely. Last question for you. If someone were on the fence about working with us, what would you tell them?
Just do it. Just do it. Honestly, for the cost to value ratio is just off the charts. It really, really is. And I can tell you, I've had several calls where agents just randomly, I guess, called me. Maybe they saw me on the Facebook thread and thought, okay, much like myself, I'm going to call people to see if the products were, is any good. And so I've had some people call me about Follow Up Boss and about your services, and I told them what I told everyone at the beginning. I've spent so much money on different CRMs and products and this Follow Up Boss is the best, and you took it to the next level. So I've probably told people, just get Follow Up Boss, have Elena get in there and tweak it the way that in a fashion that's really gonna suit your business a lot better, and just don't even think about it.
I appreciate that. Yeah, well, I appreciate you taking those calls. That's funny that people are calling you, just seeing your name in the group and asking your opinion. So that's very much appreciated that you're taking your time to do that.
Sure, sure. My pleasure. I'll continue to.
Very good. Well, I won't keep you any longer, Jason. Thank you for taking the time to do this video testimonial. It's a huge help. I know people will love to hear your insight in it.
Okay, thanks.